Day 12. We are halfway through our 24 days of accessible presentation design tips. Halfway, my friends. Okay, today, what are we talking about? We're going to discuss a little bit and do some working together on what happens when you have a full, beautiful background image on your slide and you need to put text over it. You have a headline, maybe some body copy, whatever. Well, it kind of ends up looking something like this, right? It's a great image, but it's both light and dark. And if you put dark text over it, parts of it are difficult to read. If you put light text over it, parts of it are difficult to read. So how do we go about fixing this? How do we make it better? All right, there are a few ways we could do that. But let's start with the gradient. So in here we have on the bottom, we have our image. And then on top of it, we have our text. Between those right there, we want to put a gradient layer that's semi-transparent. So how do we do that? First, let's go to our home ribbon and we can choose under insert shapes, or you can go to the insert tab in the ribbon and choose insert shapes. And I'm just going to grab a square. And then I will make this square the size of the whole entire slide. And woohoo, lovely. I'm kidding. It's terrible. So we only have 3 things on this slide. But in case we had like a million things, I would make it a little smaller, grab that image there, grab the box I just made, right click, choose send to back. Now, all of the text would presumably be on top. Then right click on that shape and choose format shape. Okay, in here, those shapes, my shapes in this particular file come in with a line by default, so I'm gonna get rid of the line. It's the fill that we want to concentrate on. Now, we want a gradient fill. So the default gradients aren't very pretty, but let's go over how to make this into a really nice gradient. So we have 4 gradient stops over here, and the first thing I want to do is get rid of the extra ones. So I just click on one and I drag it off, and then I click on the other one and I drag it off and let go, and they're gone. Awesome. And now it's time to make a gradient. For this, since I have white text, I want the background to be a little darker. So let's start with black. It doesn't matter which one we start with first. I'm going to pick one of my gradient stops and then change the color to black. Okay, now I can see which way this gradient is going. Before I change the other gradient stop, this is where I want to change the direction of the gradient, because it's going to be a little tricky to see if we wait to do it. So up here under direction, I click on that and I want the dark to be on the left and the transparent stuff to be on the right. Okay, so then I take this gradient stop and I make it completely transparent. Now, what you might not see with this image behind it is that we have kind of this muddy middle. We don't want this to be like this grayish, whitish color. I want it to go from black to transparent without the muddy middle. So to do that, both gradient stops have to be set at the same color. And that's why I set my gradient direction first. So the white stop, I'm going to change it to black, and then I will make it completely transparent. And now we don't have that muddy middle. Okay. So now let's put this rectangle back. And now I can read my headline really, really well. But this goes from a pure solid black to a pure transparent black. So I'm going to drag it about 1/3 of the way across. And then instead of having one of the stops completely solid, I will make it slightly transparent, just a little, like 20%. And then the other side is still completely transparent, and there we go. Now you can really read the text very well. But some of you might be thinking, I have this really light image. It should be light and airy and light and wonderful and all that good jazz. Well, that's awesome. Let's do that we'll just copy this gradient and we'll go back to the first slide where I had a darker text. So I pasted that there. And if I select the image and select the gradient and send both of them to the back, send to back. All right, now this dark text is on top and we can make it, light and airy. Just make your color stops white, both of them white. And then you can make one of them completely transparent and the other one slightly transparent. And now it's a lot more light and airy. And then you can, play with your headline and such and text. So that's one of the things that I use most often. I always have gradients. In fact, I have a little asset file that I save in PowerPoint that just has all the little things that I use all the time. And I always have some gradients in there so I can just pick them up and not have to recreate them every single time. What other things can you do to make sure that the contrast, any other kind of design elements, little boxes behind the text, that can be if it's part of your branding or a design device that your company uses or you want to use, that's awesome. Just don't do this, the drop shadow on the text. The controls in PowerPoint aren't all that wonderful and it's still a little hard to read. And really, please, definitely 100% do not do this. Outlining your text, you can't choose to put the outline on the inside, the outside, or in between like other design programs. And what happens is when you get these outlines on here, you're actually kind of really messing with the type forms on all of these letters. So unless your actual style guide is something funky and cool and bright colors and you do these headlines and you might even have a font that does it, that's great. But try to avoid doing this as well. So that's what you can do when you don't have enough text between a background image that varies in color and tone, and you want to put text on top of it. Gradients are my go-to all the time. I'd rather fill the slide, put a gradient over it, and put the text on top than to crop the image in some weird manner and just have text on a white slide or a dark slide. I think it looks a lot more elegant this way with the gradients. So I hope you enjoyed day 12. Thanks for stopping by. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying this content, and have a wonderful day.